Honorable Speaker, we are here speaking in a language that we do not own. And we've been talking about it for a long time. In fact, we've been segregated by Francophone, Anglophone, Arabophone, Lusophone, everything for something we do not own. How can we promote Pan-Africanism if the language that we speak in this parliament or at the level of the AU does not even belong to us?
Believe it or not, this is one of the most thought-provoking questions facing Africa's future. Imagine this. A young Pan-African activist stands up in a room filled with African Union leaders and asks, how can we promote a united Africa with languages we don't even own? This single question cuts deep, challenging not only the African Union, but every one of us to think critically about our identity, our culture, and our unity. Join us as we explore whether language, the very words we use every day, could be the key to Africa's unity, or a barrier holding us back.
Do you expect Pan-Africans to be promoted? No. We must develop our own language. And I've said this since 2017. Let's develop our own language and nurture that in our curriculum in our schools. And in the next 10, 15 years, anywhere you go, Eswatini, Kenya, Gambia, Burundi, you speak the language, somebody's going to talk to you. Not this English language, not this French language, that doesn't do anything else but to divide this continent. We must think twice, and we must take a look at our strategies as a union. I am not surprised by the decline. Because Africa is a very young population. But we must instill that Pan-Africanism in us. We must instill that mentality in us. And that's going to change our thinking. We must think Africa. And unless and until we do that, promote our culture, stop this language that divides us, we will not go anywhere. And I'm glad that the chairman actually has mentioned that. And personally, I'm not even surprised. We must do better for the African population. Honorable Speaker, to talk about the financial aspect of it, I mean, it's quite evident. We here as members of parliament, we are the one that approve budgets in our countries. We are the one that approve money that goes to the AU. We are the one that approve budgets to do all development in our own countries. But at the end of the year, financial year, the parliament is giving an audit. How have you used that money? I've been here for 7 good years, Honorable Speaker, as a member of this parliament. I've never seen the AU audits. I've never seen that. Here. Even the budget of the African Union that we actually fund, we have not seen. So how do you expect us as members of parliament to help promote participation by the African people to ensure that we contribute? Have a minute, please. Yes, how can you expect us as members of parliament to help promote the funding of the AU when money is given, we do not know when the money is spent. We do not know where is it. Where is it? I mean, we must be factual here and we must be truthful. Tell us where the money is going and we will go back to our own countries and tell them to pay for the AU because the AU is meant for the African population. But if you do not know where the money is going, it will be very difficult, doctor, to tell my country, the Gambia, to contribute. The last time I've checked with my Minister of Finance, he told me that Gambia is up to date until August. Because I wanted to know exactly what's happening. But how about other countries? If you want them to pay, please bring an audited report of the AU in the parliament here. We will debate it. Bring the budget of the AU. We will debate it. We know exactly where the African money is going. Thank you very much.
Next, take the floor is Honorable Estam Tony Passars.
Mr. President, for giving me this opportunity to contribute. I would like to thank both His Excellency Musa Faki, the chairperson of the Africa Union Commission, and Her Excellency Dr. Monique Zanza Bangawa for the presentations that they made. I would like to say that the vision of having the African Union and the Pan-African Parliament were very good. But they were founded on certain principles and they were founded with a vision. The vision has still been misunderstood. And I think we're actually pitted against each other rather than working together. When I talk about the African Union and the Pan-African Parliament, I believe that when we solve the problems between the African Union and the recognition of the African Union of the significance of the Pan-African Parliament being made to have the necessary resources, being given the legislative power, being independent and able to actually oversight the union itself, that's when we'll be able to achieve the vision. Because right now, it's like they police themselves and they police us, and they don't want to give us the strength that we need to be able to do the work. I mean, in Moussa Faki's statement, he did mention that he wants and he hopes that the Pan-African Parliament, having resolved the past problems that it's had, would be able to have legislative power. It's a shame that that is not one of the things that he attained. And I really pray that my party leader, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga Odinga, the outgoing party leader for the ODM party, who is now a candidate in the AUC, will actually be able to do what is necessary. He's a father of devolution. He believes in independence and growth of countries and units within countries. So with that vision that he comes with and that strength, hopefully we will be able to make the Pan-African Parliament independent, well-resourced, with legislative powers, with committees to oversight the commissioners, because I think the commissioners that we have actually been a big stumbling block to the strength of this parliament. This parliament has a lot to do. I mean, we could be able to do laws in this parliament that can be adopted by the representatives that are represented here in our respective countries to make us actually sync and move together with one vision, one voice. Currently, we don't have that. And then we also need to be able to have penalties for those who do not pay. How do we make them pay? How do we make sure that everybody has a buy-in? Because surely there could be countries that have conflicts within, or countries that have instabilities or financially not strong. But this is where the African Union comes in.
Finish.
Sorry, thank you. There should be a buffer fund that could actually bail out some of the countries that are not able to go forward. I believe that one African country being wealthy is not enough for the entire continent. We need all the 54 countries to be actually able to build on their wealth, build on their resources, and we need to end the conflict. We need to silence the guns, and we need to make sure that the exploitation of African countries by our colonizers needs to end. So we need to take certain decisions for Africa by Africans, not being influenced by the West, because we're still dependent on them, on donors. Real independence will come when the African Union is fully funded by the African continent. Thank you.
Lloyd Kasingo, Namibia.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for giving me the floor. I'm just going to comment briefly on the 2 points, namely the decline of Pan-Africanism and the levy. I believe that Agenda 2063 cannot be achieved if all of us here in the future who will govern Africa during 2063 cannot understand Pan-Africanism. I believe that the revival of Pan-Africanism is very important even for us as an African continent to talk of funding ourselves. If we don't have that spirit, we keep on begging to the others, although our continent is very rich. So the revival of Pan-Africanism, the spirit among ourselves who are present in the future, we cannot also strengthen our organs of the AU, our court, our legislative body, PAP, and to ensure that we ratify Malabo Protocol. And all of us, the member state, our head of state, must understand that need. Having said that, the decline of this Pan-Africanism in Namibia, we have also noticed that. In particular, among the youth, they don't understand it. What? Some of them, not all, they are aiming just to get rich quick. And to ensure that the whole country having a bread. not all of them understand. And the question arises that who will respect a poor person who is sitting on top of the rich underground? Africa as a continent is very, very rich, but its people is poor. Some countries, they manage to have those resources, mines, diamond, but because of mismanagement, the poor become poor. And the outsiders, they are happy with this. We go and study America, where, but
Finish. Another
yeah,
minute. Another minute, you finish.
I talk in my yeah. Our minds are not free, and henceforth, I would like to propose that, as His Excellency, our chair, His Excellency Musa Faki, proposed that Pan-African Parliament are key. We go back home and try in our respective parliament, in our respective government, to come up, to put up structures, in particular aiming at the youth, so that they can understand where does AU come from. Even PAP was brought up by those people who are no more, some of them are here. My president, Semani Wama, is still alive. And they say the need that AU must have a legislative body. So those people, they understand and they have the spirit of Pan-Africanism. And I can quickly say that might be in the future, anyone who will be a member from Pan-African Parliament must test that really he understands that spirit. Yeah, concerning the levy, as I stated that we are rich, Africa is rich, Africa is rich, might be those levies must come up from our resources, our diamond, our oil also. They must pay levy, and the levy just go direct to AU to fund ourselves. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the President, Your Excellency Faki, and Your Excellency, the Deputy Chair. Thank you.
I would like to ask Honorable who has asked about the Risk Capacity Act. My question is that I'm one of the 47 senators in Kenya who were designated, and we represent constituencies. My constituency is in floodplains. 2 days ago, we had a lot of disasters. We were flooded and we lost our properties, our fields. We had Red Cross and WFP. Our president of our Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Ruto, our government and other organizations who came to assist us. And today is the first time, Chair, I hear about ACA, which is the Agency for African Risk Capacity. Where were you before? I'm not the only one, and there are so many countries here that went through this. Where were you? And today you stand here telling us that once we go back to Nairobi and we tell our people in Tanarivo, Nairobi and Kenya to contribute to help you. Where were you? I want to know, what is your task to help us? Why are you invisible when we encounter difficulties? We are thankful for dinner, but we would appreciate more your assistance. Thank you very much, Chair.
Let's start with the facts. Africa is one of the most linguistically diverse continents in the world. Across our lands, over 2,000 languages are spoken. Yet, in the halls of the African Union, the languages that dominate are English, French, Portuguese, and Arabic. Languages that were brought here through colonization. These colonial languages became official, because after independence, many African nations found it easier to use the languages left behind by colonial powers. It created a way to communicate across borders. But here's the catch. Are these languages actually uniting us? So back to our young Pan-Africans question. Why does it matter? This young activist believes that a united Africa must be built on a shared identity that is truly African. According to him, relying on foreign languages keeps us tethered to a colonial past, a reminder of times when Africa's people were ruled, not free. When we speak in English, French, or Portuguese, he argues, we're speaking in the languages of those who once divided us. These languages can't capture our heritage, our culture, or the deep ancient connections we have with the land and with each other. So, how can they bring us together in unity? Here's the thing about language. It's not just words. It's a symbol of our identity. Language shapes the way we see the world, how we express our values, and even how we think. When we speak our own languages, we're tapping into centuries of shared history. These languages carry stories, customs, and philosophies that are uniquely African. But is it possible to use these languages on a continent-wide level? Would using languages like Swahili, Hausa, or Amharic unify us more deeply than English or French ever could? The African Union has recognized this challenge. Recently, there's been a growing movement to bring African languages into official spaces. For example, Kiswahili, spoken by millions in East Africa, is now recognized as a working language of the African Union. This is a huge step. But one language, even as widely spoken as Swahili, isn't enough to represent the diversity of all 54 countries. So the big question remains, how can we bridge this language gap across a continent as vast and varied as Africa? Some argue that using colonial languages like English and French creates a neutral playing field. But let's be honest, these languages aren't neutral. They come with histories and perspectives that don't necessarily reflect African realities or priorities. When African leaders communicate in languages from outside, there's a subtle, almost invisible barrier. African citizens, especially those in rural areas, may feel disconnected from policies and decisions. How can we expect ordinary Africans to engage fully if they're spoken to in languages they're not fluent in or that lack cultural connection? Imagine how powerful it could be if leaders, educators, and institutions prioritized languages that truly belong to Africa, that resonate with its people, and that reflect African values. So, what's next? Some leaders are starting to dream of an African language renaissance. Imagine if each African nation committed to promoting indigenous languages within their schools, government offices, and everyday life. Not only could this make governance more accessible, but it could also foster a sense of pride but reviving these languages comes with challenges. For example, many African languages lack the infrastructure for scientific or technical communication. How would we handle international relations, higher education, and business if we relied solely on indigenous languages? It's a challenge, yes, but consider this. Many countries in Asia, like Japan and South Korea, have done exactly this. They've built modern economies while still holding on to their native languages. Could Africa do the same? As Africa's primary body for regional cooperation, the African Union plays a crucial role in promoting a sense of unity and shared identity. If the AU truly wants to bring Africa together, supporting African languages could be one of its greatest tools. Imagine the African Union adopting a policy to encourage member states to introduce more African languages in official functions. Imagine AU meetings where leaders address each other in languages like Yoruba, Zulu, or Tigrinya. If the African Union embraces the linguistic diversity of the continent, it could become a symbol of pride, showing the world that Africa values its heritage. It could send a message that Africa is finally moving beyond colonial frameworks to build a future rooted in its own strengths. So, back to the young Pan-Africans question, how can we promote a united Africa with languages we don't own? Perhaps the answer lies not in completely abandoning English or French, but in elevating African languages to stand proudly alongside them. A united Africa doesn't mean all 54 countries speaking the same language. It means embracing a diversity that reflects Africa's rich heritage. Language is power, and maybe it's time to take back that power, one word at a time. If you found this conversation inspiring, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more discussions on Africa's future. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think African languages could bring us closer to unity? And how would you like to see the African Union promote languages we own? Let's keep this dialogue going. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay informed and inspired.